Now I am going to talk about the SHIA resistance. First thing we will talk, if you take the Houthis. Houthis were created by the British. In my way of thinking, the British Air Force bombed Yemen on and off about 70 years, 75 years. So Houthis are a creation of the British imperialist forces. Then Saudi Arabia ගැහුවා Houthis වලට airplane එකට ඊට පස්සේ Houthis ගැහුවා. ඊට පස්සේ දැන් Houthis are tough track to crack. ඒ මිනිස්සු බලන් ඉන්නේ නැහැ. The Americans fought with the Houthis for about 1.5 months and they left. They surrendered. So actually, if you take the conflict between Iran and the West, they are the precursor. There is the Houthis. Houthis are the greatest force on earth. They are very poor people. They might be not respecting women's rights and things like that. Then Max Blumenthal it was a judge, Nepoteliano judge. I can't pronounce his name. Italian judge, Italian person, Italian name, but American. So the Max Blumenthal is a Jewish person. He went for this funeral, and when he came back, the funeral is kind of, he thinks it's kind of a second revolution in Iran, and he thinks the so-called moderates are getting knocked out in Iran, right? When you take this memorandum of understanding, the hardliners are against it, but I think it has served the purpose. It has put Americans in a trap. Now, then Iran is not backing Israel, and some of the bombers and some of the tankers, right, fuel tankers, that means airlines which it is involved in refueling in mid-air, they have been removed from Gulf countries and they have been sent to Israel. Then Iran bomber target near the Israel border, about 9 miles away from there in border, and that was a warning to the Israelis. So people in Israel army, they objected to the American planes coming there, right? Tankers and bombers, right? Because Iran has locked their targets, locked their missiles, and they are aiming at Israel. But they are not hit Israel. If the Israel is going to whack Iran, they are going to whack back, and they are going to destroy the military infrastructure in Israel, right? That was in Jordan. They have whacked the American base. They destroyed a lot of helicopters, some planes, and some American military persons were killed. At least 10 people were killed. Then there was another incident in Syria. In Syria, American military forces were stealing oil and some agricultural products when Assad was there. Why? He was main reason because he was for the Palestinians, and in that operations the Americans and Erdogan and Israel were involved in the operation, and Assad was chased out. So Iran says that they backed the American camp in Syria, but the Americans denied. If you are stealing oil from Syria, if you are taking away the oil from Syria, and that some of the oil is possibly sent to Israel, then you have American camps, hidden camps in Syria. So it is possible, even the Americans are denying this thing, that there are hidden unknown camps or not very well publicized camps in Syria, and Iranians say they killed 2 or 3 American military personnel. Americans denied. Now you have the AI bubble, artificial intelligence bubble in America that is been challenged by China. And if you take the bond yields in America has gone up, and some of the investments in America by Europe is going back, mainly because one of the reasons why it is because not the main reason. One of the reasons is the Europeans looked upon Donald Trump as he's not as a leader of their country. So there is a division. May Europe America අතර බෙදමියක්. දැන් අපි ගන්නවා World Cup එක. Now if you take Argentina doesn't have blacks. There were blacks, they were chased away, and about 6,000 Nazis came and settled in Argentina. Now Messi is a supporter of Israel. You don't get blacks in Argentinian team, right? So if you take this football match between Spain and Argentina, you saw that division between pro-Israel and anti-Israel is seen that match, right? And if you take the Argentine leader, he is a supporter of Israel. So actually when Argentina lost, and Argentine leader is a supporter of Donald Trump also. So when Argentina lost, Donald Trump was very disappointed. So there was a celebration. There is the element of underdog winning the World Cup. And, now Lionel Messi is a very popular person, and even in the Gaza Strip, because we have seen Lionel Messi's photograph with these Israel leaders. But there are young children in Gaza who admire, they don't know the politics behind Argentina and Lionel Messi, and there are fans of Lionel Messi. So if you take this if you take the football match between Argentina and Spain, politicized, it became political. It was a match between kind of a match between Israel and Iran. Okay, so even in football, then we had Donald Trump interfering in when it comes to certain matches. The American football team, he was interfering in the red card, and I think he has screwed up the FIFA. FIFA has suffered irreparable damage because of that red card where Donald Trump appears to have interfered in. So we touch upon few things. Houthis, Lionel Messi, and then Argentina and Spain. Spain has become more pro-Palestine, including Ireland. Ireland has always opposed the British domination, British colonization. So when it comes to Europe, when it comes to rights of the Palestinians, Spain and island is in the forefront. Even in these countries, sometimes there are elements who are working with the Israelis, right? So I talked about the Houthis. Now, there was some incident with some plane which came from the funeral of the Supreme Lady in Iran, and that plane was targeted by certain sections of Saudi Arabia. Then the Houthis immediately attacked. Houthis la inne Iran next day they attacked Saudi Arabia, and Houthis are, there's a possibility they will block the Red Sea. So the Strait of Hormuz and Red Sea both will be blocked. That means Saudi Arabia oil cannot get out, because some of the Saudi Arabia oil goes from the Red Sea. So, right, and Iran has hit a lot of military targets, and they hit 1 or 2 water plants in another Gulf countries, right? Without the water desalination plant, these may Gulf රටවල් බ්‍රිතාන්‍ය විසින් හැදුවේ. ඒවා මේ කෘතිම හදපේවා තියෙන්නේ. ඒවැ මේ වතුර නැතුව අමාරුයි ඉන්න. හරිද? දැන් අපේ රටේ මොනාරේ ලිඳකින් වතුර ඒවා එහෙම නැහැ. ඒවා මේ අර මේ artificially වතුර ගන්නෙ. ඉතින් වතුර if you hit some of the desalination plants, these people can't. So Iran told to America that if you hit our bridges and desalination plants, there are some desalination plants in Iran also, but you get much more desalination plants in Gulf. Some of the countries, 90% is got from seawater. So if you hit one of those 2 or 3 plants, then these countries can't survive. So Donald Trump had to back off, because the bond yields are going up. If you if you take the stock market, there is a slippage in the stock market in America, especially when you come to IT industry. The Chinese are taking over the world IT industry because it's cheap, right? So there could be a severe crash in America. The football World Cup became very politicized. Then part of the issue there is the Israel lobbies, part of it is there. Then if you take Netanyahu, he was planning to come to New York, but he is not coming because the security situation in Israel is deteriorating. It's become very, it is cause for concern. And Mandani says he is going to arrest Netanyahu. I don't think he can arrest him. As the mayor, he has little rights. Even if he is arrested, if Netanyahu is arrested when he comes to New York, he will be released by the federal police. But if you are arrested for at least 5-6 hours, that's a blow to Donald Trump. So I think Mandani, mayor of New York, Mandani says he is going to arrest Netanyahu. He is looking at whether legally as the mayor he can arrest, and I don't think you can. You might be able to arrest him, but I don't think. So Donald Trump is furious. Okay? Then you have this interview between Max Blumenthal and the judge Mr. N. I can't pronounce it. Right? Italian name. You have to watch this if you want to understand. He is a Jewish person, okay? But he is against this Israel policies. So not all Jewish people are for these genocidal policies of Israel. And when he came to America from Iran, he was arrested, and some of his equipment was confiscated, and he said, I am going to the Palestinian organization help him. Right? He went for the funeral because he want to get idea of the. He says this funeral in Iran is actually a second revolution, and it is now when the MU was signed, the hardliners were against it, but the moderates signed it, but that MU has trapped America. So that means when it comes to the MOU or Memorandum of Misunderstanding, the moderates won against the hardliners, and it trapped the Americans in a certain way. So even some people who were criticized since the MOU or Memorandum of Misunderstanding, they said the Memorandum of Misunderstanding was a qualified success because it trapped the American president and his supporters. So now there are people like David. There is a person, top economist, banker, Jamie Diamond or somebody, I forget his name. He says, he talked about this, how in Switzerland they had this currency pegged and they got rid of it, and he said some of the bankers are saying that America is going into an economic crisis, and only way the American, because American interest payment has become more than $1 trillion for a year, and American debt is close to $40 trillion, and it is increasing. So only way the Americans can come out of this debt trap is by devaluing the currency. That means the dollar value will go down. But then there is this lot of central banks are moving towards gold and even in certain amount of metals. China is challenging. China controls the world rare material things. Okay? So, America can't produce their missiles and things like that. They don't have enough material, which I call entropic capital. They don't have it. Then America has problem with diesel. America has problem with kerosene, fertilizer and helium. So that means American economy they are going to be a crash type thing, and Donald Trump can't hit back at the infrastructure, right? Israel is bombed, Americans and Israelis. Israel bombed a synagogue. That means you have a lot of Jewish people, not appreciable population Jewish people. Israel bombed a synagogue in a Jewish place of worship in Israel. In Western media they don't show that, because in Iran you get Jewish people, they have their freedom. Then some hospitals are bombed, some schools are bombed. So if you take the American and Jewish, if you take the Israel policy, they are both the same, okay? They bomb Syria. So Iran told Donald Trump, if you bomb our Syria, we are going to destroy the Gulf states. And the Gulf states had some dealing with Donald Trump and said, stop this bombing. So Donald Trump had to take his, and the petroleum prices have gone up, okay? So Donald Trump is had to take a step back, and China is moving away from paper gold. Now when you take gold, you have these gold derivatives, you have these certificates and all that. China is trying to move more towards the real gold. That means China is attacking gold exchanges and banks behind gold dealing in Western countries. So that means again America is going to suffer. His name is Demi Diamond or somebody, okay? The top bank, one of the top private bankers in America. I saw one of the videos. He talked about how the Swiss currency was one of the most respected currencies. It was pegged to the dollar, and later on they had to come out of it, right? Because sometimes what looks like very stable, it becomes unstable, and they have to move away from this, right? Swiss currency was appreciating, and they couldn't send any industrial products into Europe, so they had to depreciate their currency. Then there was some problem. Then after that, they had to go to gold-like standard. So this is the same thing will probably happen in America. That's what this one of the top bankers in private bankers in America says. So you have to watch out for that. So we talked about Houthis, we talked about Argentina, we talked about Lionel Messi, and the next thing is what the Red Sea, whether Houthis are going to bomb. And Houthis were created by the British, and Houthis were bombed by Americans. After about 1.5 months, the Americans left. So if you take this conflict between Iran and America, the precursor to that is the conflict between Houthis and America, right? And Saudi Arabia bombed Houthi for about 6 years. The Americans provided the planes and the bombs and things like that. Now, there is a lot of misunderstanding about Iran. So if you take some of the Muslims in Sri Lanka, they are not well informed about what is Iran about. And America always says Iran is terrorist country. No, terrorism, Muslim terrorism was financed largely by the Gulf states, and America is behind that, okay? Americans and the Western intelligence are behind it. So I have to educate the Muslims in what Iran has been vilified. So I am as an individual person, I have been working for the Iranian resistance, right? And you have to understand there is a division between the hardliners and the moderates, but moderates won the first round because going into a flawed MOU. But I think the MOU has become a burden on America, right? So we will see what happened. I think the American economy is going to be a severe contraction of the American economy because of the bond rates, because of diesel, petroleum, because of because of fertilizer and things like that, right? And there is a lot of misinformation. And if you go to America, if you go to Iran and you go to America, you get arrested, and they will try to harass you. That is the case also for people in Europe also. And now I was told by one person, or when I listened to George Galloway says that you can't criticize a certain minister, you can't criticize a minister in Germany. It could be a legal offense. I have not looked up on the legal implications, but then I trust what George Galloway says. So there is a lot of harassment in Europe and America, and it is called coming back from the Gaza Strip. Whatever genocidal actions happened in Gaza Strip, there is a blowback in Europe and America. Okay, so you have to see what is going to happen to the American economy. I think Donald Trump is furious because a lot of American soldiers were killed. They don't give the exact amount, but he can't do anything. If he tries to bomb civilian targets, a lot of Gulf countries are going to suffer. So we will watch for this. We have to watch for the Houthis. And I think the Muslims in this country, you should not be swayed by false information given by the Western country. You have to study Iran and see whether they are a terrorist country or not. They are not a terrorist country, but some of the activities have been, if you take the 47-year-old history, some of the activities have been directed towards the Western military forces and things like that. So in that aspect, you can say that they were involved in some terrorism thing. But if you take the terrorist groups in West Asia, it is mostly supported by Gulf countries, not by Iran. If you say that there was Iranian terrorism, it is mostly directed towards the Western intelligence and military units. It was not directed to civilians. Okay. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ ඉරානයේ දැන් එන්නේ අලුත් විප්ලවයක්. දෙවනි විප්ලවය තමයි. ඒක තමයි මැක්ස් බ්ලූමන් තාල් කියන්නේ. මැක්ස් බ්ලූමන් දැල්ලුයි ජජ් කෙනෙක් ඉන්නේ. එයාගේ නම මට කියවන්න බෑ. ග්‍රීක් නමක් තියෙන්නේ. හරිද? ඒ කියන්නේ මේ ඉරානයේ ඇතුලේ වෙන දේශපාලනවලින් වෙනස් වෙනවා කියලා ගොඩක්. ඒකට ඉරානයේ ත්‍රස්තවාදී කරාට ඒ ත්‍රස්තවාදී කරේ ඉරානයේ නෙමෙයි කරේ වෙන රටවල ඇමරිකාවේ සහ බටහිර රටවල ඉන්ටෙලිජන්ස් වල ඕන නිසා තමයි කරේ. ඉරානයේ බොරු ලේබල් ගහලා අරම කරලා තියෙන්නේ. So I think people in this country should study about Iran, especially the Muslim community, because sometimes the Muslim community is very ignorant about what is actually Iran is. Iran is Shia, okay? But most of the Muslims in Sri Lanka is Sunni. If you take Pakistan, there are about 40% of the Pakistan is Shia. Pakistan majority is Sunni, but you have a large Shia community inside Pakistan. And Pakistan has tried to unify all the forces in West Asia against Israel. It has not become very successful because countries like Saudi Arabia and some of the Gulf countries are working with the Americans, right? So we have to watch what is going to happen to Israel and some of the planes and some of the fuel tankers, airplanes which carry fuel for this fighter jets, because some of the fighter jets, they have to be fuel mid-air. They have been moved into Israel. And Israel is nervous about Iran because Iran has, with this 12-day war and something, they have improved a lot. And Chinese have helped them, right? Then ලංකාවට පුළුවන්කමක් තියෙනවනේ GPS එක අයින් කරලා බයිඩු කියන එක ගේන්න ඕනේ. ඒක ගේන්න කියත් ඇමරිකාව ගොඩක් විරුද්ධ වෙනවා. Because if you take GPS, Americans use that for their spying thing and they control the GPS. GPS is not an independent thing, okay? Iran and China has shown that, especially in this war, Iran's military capability has increased by two. BAIDU. Baidu instead of the GPS. අපේ රටේ මිනිස්සු GPS එක වැඳගෙන ඉන්නේ. ඒකනේ බයිඩු එකට යන්න පුළුවන් නම් යන්න බලන්න. ඒක ඇමරිකාව අපිට ගොඩක් විරුද්ධයි ඒකට යන්න ගියොත්. So at least be aware what the GPS means. GPS can be manipulated by Mossad, CIA and MI6.